Today, we're looking at Faber Castell's Carbon Black. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. Down below, there's timestamps so that if there's only certain things you're interested, you can skip around to it. But if you've got the time, I would appreciate you checking out the entire video. You can also follow me over on Instagram. And if you like fountain pen ink reviews and are new here, I would invite you to subscribe. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I then put the ink into this Viscosity Van Gogh with a medium nib. I wrote with it for a day and then took my notes with it. In order to have some standardization in my writing samples, I always use Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. I do test other papers, but those will show up later in the video. Now, let's look at the writing sample. I picked this ink up in sample form, and to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at the Clairfontaine. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is only slightly lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 13 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade, 18 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it, and we didn't get it. Tomoe River has no bleeding, normal Tomoe River ghosting. The 1.1 stub has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the stub. These marks here were me. I had smeared them before they dried. Other than that, the extra fine has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 19 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 27 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it, and we didn't get it. Rhodia dot pad. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is slightly lighter in tone than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 15 seconds to dry. The medium is darker than the extra fine, same tone as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade, 21 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we didn't get any color variation. I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we can see why this black is so black. When we're looking at it, we see that there's a green. Now, the green does stay a little bit. It does seep immediately into the page and hold on quite a bit. But it's a green that pushes its way up. Then we see this purple tone, and then this dark magenta at the top. It's really a very interesting combination that makes this black. The one on the right, I let dry for 10 minutes. Now, all of it did not travel nearly as far. The green line on the bottom is much darker and much more there. The green, as it pushes up itself, is much darker, meaning it's moving much slower. It was really bonding with the paper as it was moving. We see that same purple and same kind of magenta-y tone line across the top. Resistance tests are done to see how well this ink can be expected to perform on the page and how hard it may be to clean from your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, I would not want to use this ink in a note-taking situation because it blurs completely out the lowercase and the capital H. So I would just be weary using this in a note-taking situation. Now, water didn't have a tremendous effect on this ink. You can see where it moved it around a little bit, but it really didn't get rid of it. Pen flush didn't do a whole lot more than water did. Although just below the F, you can start to see an area where it's getting a little bit lighter and really starting to break that ink up, but not really getting rid of it. The 1/3 bleach solution is removing almost everything from the paper. It's leaving this kind of khaki kind of color stain behind, which is not a normal thing for us to see with the ink, and it's not something that was in the chromatography. If you did have to use a 1/3 bleach solution, just make sure that you wash your pen out with water very well afterwards to not rust the metal parts. I test ink viscosity with a tilt test that I'll link somewhere. Now for the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Graf von Faber Castell's Carbon Black has a viscosity of 1.92, making it just a little bit wetter than normal. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done on Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. I average those. Now for the inks I've tested, I have found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Graf von Faber Castell Carbon Black has an average dry time of 19 seconds, making it normal. The higher side of normal, but still normal. Instead of finding inks that look like Graf von Faber Castell's Carbon Black, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. Now this is such a deep, dark, flat black. I really wanted a nice dusty red, and I chose Birmingham Pen Company's Duquesne Incline Station Red. Geez, I hope I'm not butchering that name. The second writing sample is done on White Lines, Limone, and Canson Bristol. Here we see White Lines paper. It's a gray paper. Does very well for electronic note-taking, normally not too well with fountain pen inks, but here it had no issue with fountain pen ink. What we see is no bleeding, no ghosting. Fantastic. The 1.1 stub has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. Now the extra fine is slightly lighter than the stub. It has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade, 6 seconds to dry. The medium is a darker tone than the extra fine, same tone as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade, 9 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we didn't get any color variation. Limone paper, another paper that has a lot of trouble with fountain pen inks. And here it's got spots where the ink's bleeding in but not through, not getting to the back of the page, but definitely very deep in the paper. Gives it a bit of show through, sort of. I don't think it would stop most people from using the back of the page, but it would probably stop me. The 1.1 stub has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the stub. The extra fine has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 5 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 6 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we didn't get any color variation. And lastly, Canson Bristol. It's an artist paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. I'd be shocked if it ever happened. The 1.1 stub has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is slightly, ever so slightly lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 7 seconds to dry. So we do see that sometimes the extra fines give us a slightly lighter tone, but not less black, if that makes any sense. The medium is the same tone as the stub, slightly darker than the extra fine. It has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade, 9 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it, and we didn't get it, and that is all that I have for the writing sample. So what do I think of Faber Castell's Carbon Black? This is a deep, dark, muted black. Oh, it's gorgeous. What pen and nib was going to give you the best writing experience? I think you can choose anything you want, but I really like how this looks from a wet, fine pen. It seems to get even darker. It looks like it's cutting the paper. If you've enjoyed this video and made it this far, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And if you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down and tell me why. Thanks for watching.